Very secular. Yo, what's up? This is Splendid Ray on Pharcyde TV with my co-host Jeremy Scipio
What's going on, people?
and a very special guest. I I literally been on this guy for about 5 months or so. I think he's very talented. He came to me via a conversation via T Nava from Cincinnati, Ohio. As the B-roll conversation goes, some very talented musicians and I guess a couple funny people come from Cincinnati, Ohio. And we have Mr. Ash Jangda, guitar player, music teacher, extraordinary guy. What's
Thank
up,
you.
Ash?
Chilling, man. Thank you for having me. We finally got to make this happen. I know we've been trying, going back and forth, but our schedules finally lined up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, and it's dope because this is just part of it. I definitely have some music conversations that I like to have with you as far as getting involved in a couple things or whatever. So this is just kind of like the forerunner to that conversation. But you're one of those guys that I have a lot of admiration for because you're a working musician. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you have to be a talented musician to be a working musician, the same as T Nava. Like, you run across people and they say they're musicians, and a lot of, just like people say they're rappers and people say they're artists or they say they're whatever. But the thing that impressed me about you uh was it was your similarity to T Nava, where I was having a conversation with you and you were like, oh, I got to get ready for this church gig, or I tried to call you or something, and you're getting ready for a church gig. And it was dope because you deal with hip hop, you deal with popular music, you deal with playing in the church. And, you know, it's kind of that Mamba mentality, uh, as far as I say, just passion, period, where people they just do what they do. Like, you're not a part-time musician, you're a full-time musician. So with all that being said, um in the podcast we talk about hip hop, we talk about comedy, and then we'll get into a couple current things that are going on.
For
But
sure.
did you ever think that hip hop was going to be as large as it is?
Well, I don't know if you know how old I am, but
Mhm.
I grew up before it was called hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
When
wow.
it was just rap, and rap music was basically a big part of my, I guess, adolescence. So like I was listening to Van Halen one day, and then like KRS-One, right after that. I'd go to school and I'd have a Guns N' Roses t-shirt on, but I'd have Eric B. and Rakim in my Walkman. I don't even remember Walkman.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it was just like, if it was good, I listened to it. It didn't matter. Genre didn't matter. But I guess at that moment, it was cutting edge. It was like nobody was, it was new. Nobody knew what was going to happen with it. Was it going to fade away? Was it going to, and the evolution to see it over the years as I became a part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because at that point I wasn't, I was just beginning to start my career as a musician. I didn't think I'd ever get to
Hmm.
Too Short or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? That was like a universal way, yeah, at that point. But just listening to the music, it became a part of like who I am. I guess going into it like that right at the beginning, I felt like it was exciting, but I didn't know what would happen. Just like we didn't know grunge was going to come in the '90s and change everything. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just electronica and all these other things that have kind of like carved out their own space. Nobody knew hip hop was going to be that big. It's really, literally a part of every genre now. There's country songs that have hip hop aspects. So, yeah.
Hmm.
Yep, the cadence they got. I freaking I was listening to a popular radio station, and I had traveled somewhere, I can't remember, but it was going towards the East Coast, but it might have been like a Carolina or something like that. And one of the things that I would do when I would travel dealing with hip hop, I always kind of like to listen to my own thing, but when you're riding in a car with a bunch of people, our kind of ritual was everybody's going to have what they want to listen to. So let's just go to the popular station and let's just hear, you know,
Right.
what like, and then also it was kind of intriguing to me because, you know, living in LA, you can lose touch of what a regional hit is. And you feel like because they're playing a particular song in LA or there's a popular music going on in LA, you go somewhere else and you're thinking like, oh man, this is, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
the next place that I go is going to be this, where it's just totally different. So I always got a kick out of the different musics and whatnot. And I was listening to a popular station and they had some country music going on, and the artist's cadence was like rap, and the production was almost like some trap beats. It was nah.
Yep.
It was trap drums on a country song. I'm absolutely positive that's what I was listening to.
Yeah, man. It's made everything, like commercials, TV shows, like every genre. It's a part of culture that's undeniable. You know what I'm saying? Undeniable, the influence.
What was the first hip hop song you can remember?
Well, like again, hip hop is like when you say hip hop, I think like
First,
and stuff like that. But
yeah.
when being a little kid, I think I might have been like LL Cool J or maybe even I think The Show. Do you guys remember that song, The Show?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the first thing I heard, and I was like, "What is?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fresh. Yeah.
yeah, Dougie Fresh.
Yeah.
This is not like anything else I'm listening to. And Run DMC was huge. I mean, when I think that I went through. I don't know if you guys remember cassettes, but I went through like I think 3 or 4 of like Raising Hell because I listened to it so much it would wear out, and I'd have to beg my mom, buy me another one, and she'd be like, I just buy you. So yeah, Run DMC was huge, man. But I mean, hip hop, as you know, when the term like when MTV, I think that was a big piece of the puzzle too. When MTV adopted it, it really went mainstream. You know what I'm saying? And I think, ironically, the Beastie Boys had something to do with that too, because you know what I'm saying. It hit a different way when it was like, oh wait, these are like 3 white dudes, like because you heard them first before you saw them, and then you heard it. It was like, oh, okay, so what is this? And the whole album and it had like a punk vibe to it. So like I guess that whole Russell Simmons, Rick Rubin, that little world right there, it kind of set the tone for what became like hip hop. You know what I'm saying? By my definition, just because how I got exposed to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm from Miami, so it's a little different. Kind of going back to the regional thing you're talking about. The way Miami worked back then, as far as music, was like stuff would trickle down from New York and LA, so we would get it like kind of like secondhand, so to speak. Like it was already popping in New York or LA, and then it would get to Miami. And Miami had a big dance like club scene, so I think most of it was just like that club thing. Like it had to be like bangers, So that's why when you hear a lot of the Miami stuff, that's what they're going for. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like the Aware KRS-One type stuff that was really hitting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was more party music.
God bless Uncle Luke.
Yeah, Uncle Luke. Exactly. You get the point, right? That says it all right there. Uncle Luke. That's like 3. Yeah, exactly. 30 South. Yeah, man.
So, your favorite hip hop movie?
Let me think. You're taking me back, man. I thought we were going to talk about.
Nah, that's like the last hip hop question.
Yeah, you're taking me way back, man. I don't know. I guess I never thought about that. I never really like categorized them.
All right.
But yeah, that's a good. Give me a few minutes on that one. Let me think about that. I never even gave it any thought. Yeah.
That's the one question that we have that I would say. We have another question that, or two questions that are at the end, but the question about the movie is one of the most interesting and entertaining questions that I ask, because everyone's we've had I want to say, well, we've had, of course, the Menace to Societies and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
but I want to say, nah, we never had Romeo Must Die, have we, Jeremy?
Well, I think somebody did say that. I let that slide because wait, no, DMX ain't in that. No,
Okay.
almost died. No, that don't count. That don't count.
Yeah, I don't know. I never even thought of that as a category, to be honest with you. But now that I think about it, I mean, like, I guess it was like Poetic Justice was dope.
Okay, I let that slide.
I mean, I don't know. I'm thinking if I was like, does Baby Boy count?
Yeah, I think because of its impact. I mean, you got Tyrese, you got Snoop Dogg. It's definitely super West Coast. I mean, even the way it starts off, it got the classic, like, that what songs does it start on? It definitely and its influence. I mean, they played it on BET on repeat. BET ran out of programming and they still played Baby Boy. So yeah, it's John Singleton. Tupac was supposed to play it originally. It's definitely embedded in hip hop culture. So I definitely let that one go. Yeah.
I love Friday, but like again, I'm not thinking so much about the soundtrack. I'm thinking about, it's hilarious. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, I never thought about it. Good question, actually. Now you're gonna make me go through all the movies and think about it.
We can go back to it.
Yeah.
What city are you from?
I'm from Miami, Florida.
Hey.
Yeah, man. I'm born and raised. I left Miami, I think I want to say 2002. And, I've been kind of figuring it out with my career and stuff. I went up, to New York for a little while. It wasn't a good fit. I could say that going from Miami to New York is way harder than going from New York to Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people move down there after they retire and stuff. I get it. But going to New York after Miami is like, it's tough, man. Like, the adjustment and all that. I wasn't really like feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, like giving up the car, and it was cold, and the weather, and it was just too much, man.
Food.
Again?
I said the food.
Well, they got great food, but it's not the same food.
Great food.
Food in Miami is like, if you're used to, it's hard to find it. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cuban food is like, yeah.
Is the Will Smith Miami song like y'all theme song down there? Do you get upset when you hear it? Like, what's your, you know what I'm saying?
It's like anything else. When it first comes out, you hate it. Then it gets oversaturated on the radio. After a while, you're like, yeah, that song's all right. And then you're like adopted, like, yeah, that's our song. But not not really. Like, there's so many other songs and things. It's just like, it just became a thing because, there's not that many Miami songs out there. You know what I'm saying? So
I am Miami, bitch. That's how y'all got.
yeah, I was a moment for sure. Exactly. That one I think is harder because
oh, really?
like, yeah, like, it's the club scene, man. That's all about the band. You're in there and they're like, oof, oof, oof. You know what I mean? Like, the other one, yeah, it was cool. It was kind of like a driving song. You're driving to South Beach. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing.
What was your middle school soundtrack like? You so let's just say if you did have a Walkman in middle school, what were you bumping?
Well, that's kind of what I was telling you before. It was a potpourri of stuff. I mean, I was listening from like Bob Marley to like I said, like Eric B. and Rakim to I mean, I was listening to Van Halen because obviously I play guitar, so there was a lot of guitar stuff in there, like Jimi Hendrix, a lot of Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until high school and stuff that I got into like the heavier stuff. It was still just like 80s rock that I was into at that point. But I mean, there was stuff. Let me think. I'm trying to think of the actual cassettes. I mean, I was still listening to like Run DMC, all that stuff. Beastie Boys. Trying to think. This is like a lot of this stuff is deleted.
Rock, hey man, I know about a hard drive, man.
Yeah,
Hard drive gets worn down. Gets worn down, man. That's matter of factly. Who would you say is your number one rock influence?
I gotta lean towards Jimmy. Even though there was a lot of other cats, because I spent a lot of time dissecting like different players. That was, like I grew up listening to Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Led Zeppelin, so Jimmy Page, Van Halen, like I mentioned, was huge. It was like so many guys at that moment, and that's what I'm saying. Music changed so quickly, and all those guys just kind of like were gone, and it was like a whole new scene. And I had already put in like endless hours. You know how they say you got to put in your 10,000 hours? I had to be like at that 9,999th hour when the whole scene changed, and I was like, oh, what are we doing now? Like, and then all of a sudden it was like Chili Peppers and Nirvana, and all this other stuff, which wasn't like a Guitar Hero type driven music. You know what I'm saying? It was more like songs, like riffs and that kind of thing. But before that, man, just Jimi Hendrix in and of itself is like a little universe. If you think about all the cats that I mentioned, they were all influenced by Jimi Hendrix. Well, maybe not Jimmy Page, but all the other cats. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they all like, and I'm sure they'll tell you, like, yeah, I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, because he changed not just the way you play guitar, but like a lot of the kind of like the culture of guitar and stuff like that, and even just the culture of rock and roll, like like the way he dressed, the stuff he said, and he wasn't like that 80s boisterous type of guy. He was kind of like a quiet, shy dude, but he let the music kind of like do the talking. It was kind of interesting because like off stage he was quiet, and then he get on stage and he was like wild, you know what I mean, like crazy. So it was like that thing, he brought that to the world of like guitar, you know what I'm saying, and tone, like like that sound, people are still chasing that sound, that Jimi Hendrix sound. He had the blues thing, but he had like an R&B thing, and then he had his whole artistry that he added to that, and it became Jimi Hendrix. You know what I'm saying? Like took it somewhere. You know what I mean? Which is that's what makes him like special, I think, to me and to most of those guys that I even mentioned. And to even people coming up now, they're picking stuff up from guys that picked it up from him. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like it's a lineage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that goes back to like blues. It gets passed down. Like B.B. King, all these cats, they created this thing, and it gets passed on and passed on and passed on. It evolves, of course, but Jimi Hendrix took it to a place nobody had taken it, and so it's kind of like, how there's before Christ, after Christ.
yeah, of course. Jimi Hendrix is Jesus
the
Christ.
Old Testament of music. Yeah.
For me, I can't say it for everyone.
I want to say, what did you think your path would be your senior year of high school?
It's funny you say that. That's when I was really like immersed in the guitar, and it was a tough transition to college to be like, okay, I'm like all day, every day on this guitar, but I'm going to put this guitar down to study something that I not necessarily want to do. That was tough, man. I started off with the regular classes and all that in college. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to do a psychology major. And, to a certain degree, I did want to pursue it, but it wasn't, I didn't have a passion for it like I had for the guitar, you know what I mean, for music. So within, I would say like a year, I sat down with my parents and I was like, I know you don't want me to do this. I know you guys didn't go through all this trouble to come to the United States of America for me to become a musician. I know you want me to be like a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is, but really want to do, and I can't let it go. You know what I'm saying? It's not it doesn't feel optional, or I could just go, oh, I'm going to become an accountant or something. I had this passion for music that I just couldn't, you know, I don't think it'll ever like fade away. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I, you know, I feel lucky, and people tell me all the time, like, you're lucky you get to do what you love for a living. And yeah, and most people, you know, they have the security of a 9 to 5 job and this and that, and they live in that's most people. That's the world they live in. Our world, like me, T Nava, Jimi Hendrix, all these guys, it's a different world, man. Like you're figuring it out as you go along, and the music leads you places and takes you. Has taken me places that I never thought I'd ever go. And I've met people and had experiences, you know, all through music that I'm super grateful for. But you know, the highs are high, the lows are low. You know, so you got to have like in, and you know, you got to be passionate to do what we do, because you know it's easy to get like, oh man, this is hard. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easier just have the security. I mean, well, you do comedy, so you know what I'm talking about. And Greg,
yeah, man.
You've been, you know, y'all know. You got to be passionate, man, because it's there's a million guys out there. Everybody's talented, and everybody's trying to find their way. So to carve your space, and kind of like going back to the Jimmy thing, create your own thing out of it and make your art. You got to be driven, you know. You got to kind of see it before it happens, sort of, and then chase it down, that kind of thing. And most of it is not really even chasing it down. It's just like believing in it, and it just comes to fruition. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't believe, you know what I mean, then you know, you can sell insurance or whatever.
Hey, I did it. I've done it. You know, I figured out after 4 years in junior college that you got to be passionate about what you want to do. And I almost thought I'm not going to say a dummy, but I didn't think that I could, I felt I had a low comprehension level. You know what I'm saying? But when I became passionate, then it was like, okay, you're just looking through a totally different lens. You know what I'm saying? You're not, what seemed like a burden is not a burden. Like you actually want to dig in deeper. Like you're on how they talk about some religious people and how people say, I'm on fire. When you become passionate, you're on fire. You know what I'm saying? It's like man, there's nothing that anyone can tell you against what you're saying. So with that being the segue into this part, tell me about the culture of musicians that will, like yourself, that'll play hip hop, you'll play pop music, you'll play R&B, you'll play blues, you'll play reggae. But one of the things that pays the bills is those Sunday morning and afternoon services.
Yeah.
So how did you find your way from the Led Zeppelins and Jimi Hendrix and, you know, all of that stuff to becoming passionate about gospel music and that being part of your repertoire?
Well, it's a funny story. So, like I said, I'm self-taught initially for the first, I want to say like 7 or 8 years, just playing by ear. Everything I could hear, I could play it, that kind of thing. And that's why I got into so much music, because well, for one, Miami's multicultural. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of music there to begin with. Very dance driven, but everything's there. So I got into all these different styles, and I'm picking it all up by ear. When I get to school and I make that decision, I told my parents, "Hey, I want to study music." So I switched majors, And the school I'm at, there's like jazz or classical. And I'm like, what? That's not what I want to do. Neither one. Like, is there a third option? They're like, no, this is it. So I was like, all right, I'll go with jazz. So I went with jazz, and that opened my mind to a whole nother world that I really hadn't explored. And it took my musicality in a different direction and all this stuff. So I get out of school, like I said, I'm going to move to New York and become the next jazz guy or whatever. And it doesn't really play out that way. And life, like sometimes you got this plan and you're thinking like, here's letter A and here's letter B, and I'm just going to go right from here to right here. I just a straight line, right? Simple. It never works out that way. And no project does, but especially, life is a big project. I'm thinking I'll just move to New York and just do the thing, like all these other guys have done before me. It doesn't work out. I leave New York. I come back to Florida. I tried Georgia for a while. I come back to Florida. And when I land back in Florida, I'm thinking like, well, man, what am I going to do? I hadn't even considered moving to LA yet. And I wind up getting a job, a regular job, while I'm figuring it out, right? And because, when you leave your network, which I'm from Miami, you're starting from scratch with music. You know what I mean? Like nobody knows you. So you're not going to get any gigs right away. You got to like kind of immerse yourself in the scene and meet new people. So I got the job, and I'm sitting there, and at the job, you can listen to music in the background while you work or whatever. And the guy sitting like 3 chairs down from me or whatever is listening to Dennis Chambers, the drummer. This album with John Schofield is like incredible, right? I was like one of my favorite records from Schofield. I go, hey man, what do you listen to? And he's like, oh, Dennis Chambers. I was like, you know who Dennis Chambers is? And he's like, yeah, I play drums. I go, for real? And he's like, yeah. I go, I play guitar. And he goes, really? I go, yeah, I love John Schofield and blah, blah, blah. We'll spark this whole music conversation. So then he tells me, well, I play at this church. And I'm like, I go, at a church? Because I grew up Catholic. It's just like the pastor hums a little bit, but that's about it. No drums at the church. So I was like, what kind of church do you play at? They have drums. He's like, oh, you should come check it out. I was like, all right. I'm like, these guys invited me to church. Oh, it doesn't sound like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about jazz and rock and all this other stuff. I'm thinking church. I'm like, all right. So I was like, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, let's come check it out. So I get there, and they have like full setup: 2 keyboards, an organ, drums, bass, guitar, acoustic guitar, a choir, a front line. They got a worship lead. I mean, they got the strings, the whole thing. I'm like, well, this is, and I gotta say, this is like circa maybe 2003, something like that. Yeah, I think 2003 or maybe 4, maybe 2004. Yeah, I had been gone from Miami for about 2 years, and ironically, I land right in the smack of this gospel church, right? And turns out the guitar player was going to be taking a hiatus because of something had to do with his family or whatever. And so that's the day that I went to check out the church. And so they were like, oh, who's this guy? And he's like, oh, the drummer invited him. He plays guitar. And, so they were like, oh, you play guitar? Play a little something for us. So I started doing my thing. They're like, oh, you can play. And I was like, yeah, that's what I do. I'm just in between right now. I'm figuring it out because I just moved here. And they're like, well, would you want to do it? And I was like, play at the church? Like, I've never even thought of it. You know what I mean? Because coming from a Catholic background, it's like seems sacrilegious to even play like rock guitar at church. Like, you can play loud in here? Like, so, like, to me, it's all new, right? So I'm like, okay. So I remember the first, like, probably like 2 months, they're like, why don't you ever hit the distortion? And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. Like, I still wasn't comfortable with it. And then, like, fast forward, like, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years later, I was full-fledged immersed in the gospel scene. I was playing with all the artists when they would come to town. Because I became part of a mega church, and it was just like a new education, like a whole nother education right after college. So basically, I had college. I went and I tried a couple different cities. Nothing landed. I landed in this situation which was supposed to be like temporary or whatever, and that's where God kind of like just drew me in and kind of was like, well, maybe you need to check this out before you go out and do your thing. You need to come, play for me for a little while, and I
Well,
did. And I learned so much. It was an education. Like you can learn so much from a book, and you can learn so much from a person telling you about something. But when you go out and you just do it yourself, trial and error, you learn a lot. You know what I mean? That way, and that's what it was. Just going out there and learning all new songs and a new style and a new approach of playing the guitar, kind of like the whole Jimi Hendrix thing. I was like, oh, there's another way you could do this, and like at the time, because it was new to me. I guess I kind of like the closest associations I could make to it was like quartet was kind of like country music a little bit and blues, and then like gospel was like a mixture of rock and jazz and R&B sort of. It was like the best parts of every style was all mixed together because you had the harmony of jazz, you had the energy of like rock music, and you had like the funk and soul, like that backbeat like driving. And I was like, I'm getting to do everything that I like to do, but all in one thing versus like one song at a time. It was like all in one song. All these things are in this song. You know what I mean? The dope chords, the crazy rhythms, the rock solos. It was like, wow, I didn't even know this existed. And so, like I said, it opened my mind, and it changed, it redirected my whole life. And I think, honestly, when I think about it, like that derailment was kind of like what set the what would you say, the pilgrimage for me to wind up out here. Because I left a mega church to come out here to play at church, and then yeah, it's been like, it's opened all the doors that I've opened for me. I would, I don't take any other credit. I mean, I take a look, right? But I did, but I could have done it without God. I couldn't have done it without all the people that took a chance on me and believed on this guy who just moved here from Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough because, like I said, when you move to a new network, you don't know anybody, so they got to trust you. And why should they? They don't know you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to earn that trust, and then that leads to the opportunities. And like I said, I'm super grateful, man. The music has taken me all over the world, and it's still opening doors today. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I'm not trying to preach or anything, but yeah, it's a very good question. I owe it all to him. So, yeah.
What's your hidden talent?
Well, I shoot pool. And I don't know, talking right after thanking God. And, I don't know if I should bring this up. But
pool's a sin?
But yeah.
Pool shark is a sin? That's not a sin.
Not a sin, but you got to go to some interesting places to do it.
They should have a gospel pool league. You know what I'm saying? Where you
started something
new, right? You
come, idea.
Yeah, you exchange blessings instead, and maybe we can still play for clothes or something. Like, give me a shirt, give me your shoes. But no, really, you pull shark?
Well, I did it for a long time. There was a dark season there where I was kind of trying to figure stuff out, and I wound up, like in those kind of places. And then you developed a skill that you didn't know you had, and you're like, oh, I can make a little extra money doing that. So it was a time. It was more hassle than it was reward most of the time. I'll tell you that much. Because everybody wants to talk the talk and bet the bet, but nobody wants to pay when they lose. So you wind up like, you're like, man, am I gonna have to fight somebody? But it's like, that whole world of that and there's a lot of stuff about that on YouTube you can look up, is kind of gone because that you can't really do that anymore. People don't really bet anymore, and It's only certain, like maybe some states where you can go and you can still find money games and stuff like that. The professionals amongst themselves, they bet a lot, but those guys are also making a living from endorsements and doing tournaments and stuff like that. So then they take that money and they bet it against each other. That's their choice. But to just be on the road being a hustler, I think that's over, man. That will never happen. But that's a truly American thing. That whole like hustle community is like, it's like a subculture thing. It's really interesting. It's funny. It's weird that we wound up talking about that. But yeah, I guess that's my hidden talent. Once upon a time. And now I just shoot for fun. I go and I play, and I try not to beat people too bad so that they'll still play me. Because if you beat them too
wow,
much,
you're that good, huh?
yeah, well, they don't want to play no more if you beat them too much.
So you have to let people kind of win or think they winning, huh?
Yeah, keep it fun for everybody involved.
Oh no, I scratched. Oh man, kind of rusty.
Yeah. He's like, you won that one. Cool.
Oh, cool. That's funny.
Yeah, man.
So, jazz, gospel, pop, or hip hop? As far as you making money and having the most fun doing it.
Well, making the most money, pop. Having the most fun. Well, here's the thing. I started off as, okay, let's say this, making the least money, jazz. But being challenged the most, jazz. Least money, most challenge. Pop, least challenge, most money. Gospel, most rewarding. Because aside from the money and all that, it feels like you're actually contributing to something. You know what I mean? You're being a part of something, and you're making a positive impact. You know what I mean? Hip hop, lots of fun. Money was pretty good. It wasn't like pop money, but it was good. But as far as like when you say the most fun, I think the most fun is some kind of hybrid of all of it, because what I found, especially in the LA scene, is everybody's kind of trying to, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to be like a Swiss Army knife, kind of like myself, where I can play this, that, or whatever you need me to do. And kind of like such a musician would be, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, let's just do it. I got, a vocabulary enough to handle it. But it's when you really start merging all those things, and it becomes like almost like a non-denominational church version of music. It's like, it's not necessarily gospel, and it's not necessarily jazz, it's not necessarily hip-hop. It's all these things coming together, like a fusion, if you will. That's when I have fun, because it's like I'm getting to use a little bit of slang, but I'm also getting to use some fancy words here and there, and I'm getting to communicate on a level that we all kind of like know what I'm saying, but in order for everybody to know what I'm saying, they all got to speak to all those languages. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's almost like, when you hang out with your friends and you have a bunch of inside jokes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
I mean, that's what this show is.
Yeah, you talking
big inside joke.
Yeah, you talk language that nobody else but y'all get it, because y'all got the inside language, like the jokes, like you were there and I was there, and you know what this means, and I know what that. And that's what I'm saying. When we all play all these different styles and we get to going, we can go anywhere. That's the most fun, because a lot of those gigs, they don't necessarily pay that great, but the musicianship is so high that that's the reward. Just getting to communicate on our level, and having musical fun. That's like art at that point. You're creating. Yeah,
I got two quick ones, man. I've been holding on to them for a minute, but they're relevant. They're very relevant. One, what country did your parents come from?
Oh, that's a good one. So my mom is from Cuba, and my father is from Pakistan.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm the only one in the world.
How did they meet?
In Miami at a library, believe it or not. Yeah. Yeah, isn't
I
that crazy?
never would have thought. I never would have thought that answer. So that leads me to the second quick one I've been holding on to. Now, you are my brother because you've been adopted into this. I'm sure some Baptist church families and whatnot, and learning Black people through the Baptist experience. You see, we're the most loving people ever. Like man, that's just what we do, man. But along with coming into the musical situation of the Baptist experience and the brotherhood and the family part comes soul food. How did you adapt to the soul food?
Real easy. That was not a hard transition. Everything about great, from fried chicken to like the macaroni. I will say this: the one thing I guess I could be picky about is the greens. You know what I'm saying? Some people make them like a certain way, and it's just like nah. And then other people they put like a little bit of. I mean, I don't know. The way they season it can make all the difference. Like between
a little bit of vinegar, you gotta have a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of sweetness, and some smokiness to it, man.
Yeah, I don't want it to taste healthy. It's not supposed to.
I don't want it to taste healthy.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's gotta have flavor. So depending where you go, yams. Oh my god, sweet potatoes. Like, come on, man. Yeah, it's all good. Like there's no wrong.
All right. I just wanted to know how you adapted to it. But see, when you say that you're part Cuban,
exactly.
I always look at the Cuban people, the Caribbean people, all of those kind of people. That's a version of soul food. It's just not American soul food. So I always look at it as that wasn't the biggest transition for you. You know what I'm saying? To go from one to another because you season your food. We season our food.
Exactly. That's the secret. That's the secret. It's all in the seasoning, man. And the Caribbean, like even from let's say like Cuba to Puerto Rico to like Haiti to like Jamaica, whatever, a lot of the dishes are the same. They're just a little bit of different seasoning and a little different name, but they're like same thing. Plantains, they call them plantains here, but we call them maduros. They call it I forget what they call it in Puerto Rico, but it's the same thing. And it's like the difference is so subtle. It's like the rice and beans, the way that we like ground beef. Here it's called ground beef. We call it picadillo or whatever. It's all really, really subtle. And moving out here, just to throw a little bit of the LA like on it, there's Mexican culture here, and they cook the same stuff different too. It's the same stuff. It's essentially the same everywhere you go. It's just how do you season it, and I think that's the kind of how it relates to music. You know what I mean? Like we're all playing the same stuff, but how do you season it? Is how you make it your own. You know what I'm saying? How you put your own stamp on it. Like, oh, I add a little bit of this, and that person adds a little bit of that, and it makes it like their thing. You know what I'm saying? Their recipe or whatever.
Hate to interrupt this food conversation. I understand some people are pretty serious into it. We even have some people in the chat talking about they about to order some greens and put a pork foot in it. Somebody actually in the chat, I'm gonna let this go a little bit longer. Somebody in the chat asked if you like alligator.
I've tasted the tail, those little alligator tail bits, like they'll fry them or whatever, and it tastes like chicken, but it was real chewy, like real chewy. So I didn't I wouldn't do it again. I mean, I checked it out. It was all right.
I mean, what other part of the alligator would you eat?
I wouldn't. That's the thing.
But I was like, you said the tail. I'm
Oh
like,
no, they do the tail, they do the chop, they do the whole. They'll smoke or they'll barbecue the whole, you know, the whole thing, man, and leave the head poking out. Like they'll foil up the whole thing and just have the head poking out.
We do that with pork, like we call it lechon,
Yes,
and
sir. Shame on me. I love it to death.
yeah, it's like a luau. The whole pig's there, and they fry it up. And man, it's awesome. It's old school, so every once in a while you get a piece that still has like a little bit of fur on it or something that's real gross.
well, forgive me, I haven't eaten yet. So forgive me. What is your dream collab? What is your dream collaboration? Who would you like to work with?
Huh.
Dead or alive?
Oh wow. Yeah, that's hardcore.
Or who would you kill to work with? See, look. Make it work.
Well, kill anybody. Let me think. I don't know if this is really answering your question, but I was having this conversation with some friends the other day, and this might seem corny, but um, I think that as far as a guitar player, John Mayer has had such an incredible career because he's done the blues thing, right, where he shows his musicianship. He's written hit songs, so he's done that. He's done the acoustic guitar thing, which shows again a different side of musicianship. He's out on tour, I think, with the Grateful Dead or whoever now, and that's like a whole nother side of his guitar playing. And he's just had like such an incredible, like for a guy who was just a guitar player turned songwriter, he's like ticked off all the boxes. He's couldn't ask for a better career. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know that I would want to work with John. I mean, it'd be nice, but I would want to have a career like that for myself. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if that's what you're asking me. So to go back to what you're asking me, I go by genre, like because I like so many different styles of music. Like, um, I would love to do something with like Dr. Dre or JC or something as far as the hip hop side of it.
Okay.
Just because their music is so incredible and their production is so incredible, and like I just love their music. You know what I'm saying? And I respect like their songwriting too. It's like it's all just dope, right? So that would be hip hop. I think as far as like old school artists, I mean Stevie Wonder is a living legend. You know what I mean? That would be amazing, just for the opportunity. As far as like jazz, Branford Marsalis he's a bad man. I would love to play with him. As far as and I mean, there's so many things. I mean, like in the pop world, it'd be cool to do something with like. I mean, there's so many people, but like, I don't know, man. This is a difficult question. You all really got me thinking about some stuff today because, like, when when I think about it, it's not as simple as like there's one person. You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's because I'm into so much stuff. So it really is like it's per genre, I think. And that's always the same thing when people ask me who's your favorite guitarist. I'm like, man, it's hard to narrow it down to one. You know what I mean? Like literally one is almost impossible because I like different styles of music. You know what I mean? Like for example, we've been talking about those guitar players, but I didn't mention like gospel guitar players. There's some incredible guys like Eric Walls, and I mean, I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys that like maybe are like not getting the Sharkey, for example, is an incredible guitar player, Isaiah Sharkey. I think they're starting to get like the recognition they deserve because like Eric just did the Super Bowl, and Isaiah actually plays with John Mayer and stuff like that. But those guys are are phenomenal. I mean, like, so I don't know, man. Like in the gospel world, just to say, I never got to do anything with what's her name, Kim Burrell. I would love to do something with Kim Burrell. She's incredible, man. Just mind like boggling, like how good she is, you know. And I've worked with a bunch of people, but like she's just next level, bro. I mean, I could sit here talking to you guys for hours about this because, like, we could just go through every genre.
Nah, so coming on to a secular topic.
Okay.
Drake versus Kendrick.
Yo, y'all are gonna think I live on the moon or something. I haven't heard either of the diss track. I've been working so hard. I've been so
good
busy.
For you. I said
Yeah,
good for you.
All I hear is like people saying their opinions about it, but I haven't heard the tracks themselves. So I'm like, man, I wonder what it's all about. I gotta make some time to go listen to that track.
You've heard it, you just didn't know what it was. I mean, 'cause especially the current hit song is like breaking records like every day. Like it's hard to avoid it. You literally had to be in a cave, but I get it. You know,
I've been playing guitar, man.
Yeah, I get it. I'll be in the cave sometime.
I've heard it. I've heard the songs. You know how people do the little AI versions of shorts, and they'll have motivational speeches, and you'll hear the Kendrick in the background. Then they had this one guy. He was a preacher at a church, and he was over there doing an interpolation of Kendrick, and I'm just like, man, this is put it this way, Ash.
Mm-hmm.
The moment in time that Kendrick and Drake shared sent out more waves than Shannon Sharpe and Cat Williams.
Wow.
You were just underneath the vibration of this tsunami that just came across.
Yeah.
That came.
Well, I mean, well, okay, like just your personal opinion. I mean, you know the two people and you're familiar with their work. What do you prefer?
Aside, I think it's oranges, man. Like you can't compare those two things. Like
apples and oranges. You can compare apples and oranges. Oranges are better than apples.
Oh, okay. That way, yeah. I guess I'm compartmentalizing them. Like I think
you're giving a very court-ordered answer. I just want you to know.
Dramatic here, but no, I'm being honest though. I feel like Drake is like hooks with definitely some dope, bars and stuff, but mainly his hooks is what sells it for me. Because you can hum it. You know what I mean? You can hear it. You're in the car. You know, if he can hum it, because he can't really sing, then I can hum it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't need auto tune. So, but then with Kendrick, he's like straight, like it's just fire, dude. Like he don't even need hooks, which is crazy because he's old school in a sense. And that's he's just gonna just light you up, and this is what I'm talking about. And this, but the way he does it, like I've seen. I mean, we're talking about YouTube or on YouTube. You watch those people where they sit down, they break down his ciphers and stuff, and it's like, what? All that was in there? Like I just thought it sounded cool. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the internet it does a lot when he makes music.
I mean, even what's his name? Which you don't hear much about him anymore. What's the cat's name? Oh my God, from Cash Money.
Lil
Wayne.
Lil Wayne, yeah. Like Lil Wayne's freaking genius in a way. He's kind of like it's brilliant. Some of the stuff he comes, and he does it on the spot, which is wow. Like I don't know how he does that, but that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't compare that to what Drake is doing. Drake is like a little more on the easy listening side of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh, so you agree with Mos Def? He said he's shopping music.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to, dude. I would love to work with Drake. In case you're listening, Drake, I ain't trying to. But what I'm saying it's not the same. It's not the same. You can't, that's like saying like Sir Mix-a-Lot and like Ice Cube. It's not the same.
Was it what the hell was it? You could do it, put your back into it. I could do it, put my into it. Ice Cube has some of those. You can do it, put your back into it.
No, yeah.
Tick, boom. Yeah, he had a couple of those, but I know what you mean. Real quick, I'm gonna run through some things. First of all, you mentioned Stevie Wonder. It was Stevie Wonder's birthday yesterday. I like to ask Stevie Wonder which version of Happy Birthday he liked us to sing to him.
I don't think he's watching.
They actually, you said what?
I said I don't think he's watching.
No, honestly, I was watching. I forgot what I was watching, but they asked Stevie Wonder his opinion on the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef, and he was like, he said, "Man, it's just a distraction. See, we need to look at other things. We need to paint a picture of peace." And it's like, why does he talk like that? It's so annoying. Like, yo, he said, I just visualize a place where people just get along. like I'm not making this up. You should look it up. His opinion on this beef. He started saying a bunch of references that require eyes. Annoyed the heck out of me. Yeah, what else is going on? They're asking if you have you done your own album and you any plans to work on your own?
I did like an EP thing in 2010, but it was rushed and it was my first, attempt, and I did most of it myself, including mixing and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say don't check it out, but I have some new stuff I'm going to be putting out hopefully before the end of this year. And you can find stuff, whether it's sideman work or original stuff, all just under my name, Ash Jangda. Whether you go on social media or YouTube, everything, it's all the same. So it's easy to find, whether it's Twitter or it's not even called Twitter anymore, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. I'm all, it's all under there, just under my name. So you can find me on YouTube. And I have a lot of arrangements and stuff that I did during the pandemic. And we kind of like, I got into videography and that kind of thing. And it was kind of like, a learning opportunity. So I'm going to parlay a lot of that stuff and the stuff that I started to work on during that time and that opportunity to learn how to do those other skills into my own project. So that's something I'm working on kind of like behind the scenes. But like I said, I've been so busy, I don't even know what's going on with Kendrick. So, you know what I mean? Like I got for it. So, but I guess that's how it goes for all artists. You got to make time to create, But yeah, I do have some music out there. If you want to check it out, just look up my name on iTunes. You'll find it.
So with all that being, go ahead, Jeremy.
Go ahead.
No.
Well, I was going to ask, what is your process on making music or your rehearsal process as you get ready?
For original music, you say?
Yeah.
It usually just starts with just hearing something in my head. Whether it's a melody or chord progression, it varies. But once I get that first part down, it kind of like, I don't know if it's like a rush of adrenaline or something, but that once that inspiration hits, like I start to hear the whole thing. You know what I mean? So usually, if I have access to something to be able to put it down, I can hear the whole thing. The whole thing is just a matter of getting those little flurries of inspiration. They happen at weird times. Like I'm a night person, so it'll be like 1, 2 in the morning, and all of a sudden I'm like, I got an idea. You know what I mean? Or sometimes sometimes it's on the drive home from a gig. Like you still have all that stuff floating around in your head, and then your brain's still creating. You know what I mean? Even though you're off stage and you're done, it's still like, I got more. And then So it's just being, luckily now we have iPhones and iPads and a million different ways to capture it. You know what I'm saying? But it's nice to have like a setup that's quick and easy. You just hit record and put the idea down, because that first like inspiration usually has something to it, like a little extra something on it, which I think all the other ideas are kind of like attached to it. It's almost like when you unzip a file,
Mhm.
like all the other files are in there. It's like that first file you got, once you get the download, you gotta unzip it real quick, and all the other, like, oh, I hear the strings in it, I hear a vocal, I hear this, I hear that. It's crazy. Some people think that the ideas are just floating around and we just grab them, and some people think that certain people are the only one, like only that person can hear this or whatever. I don't know which one's right, but I do know that when it comes, you have to be ready for it. You know what I mean? Because you don't know when it's going to hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and sometimes just hits you all at once, and you got to be ready for that. And sometimes it's just dial tone. So nothing's going on. So yeah, it's like the Matrix. When they dial that number, it's like, oh, we got a connection. Yeah.
So, if you were to have a biopic, what would it be called?
Oh man, these are crazy questions, man.
Hey, I have 5 months to work on them, man.
I almost want to make a joke, but I don't know. There's this album by George Benson called "The Incredible Jazz Guitar of George Benson." I don't think I'm bold enough to have a title that crazy, but he was bad, so he could do it. You know what I mean? He was like 18 or something, and he was killing already. I don't know. I would say something. Well, I named that first EP "Where I Belong," which was my first like creative venture into expressing myself as an artist or whatever. So I think at this stage, if there was somebody who was going to do a biopic about me, I think I would go with "Unstoppable." And I know that sounds
Okay.
maybe a little cliche, but I think that in this life, being a musician, particularly in LA, Miami, all the cities I've tried to do this, pursue my career. You, and just like any other person in the arts, you run into a lot of no's, and you run into a lot of detours, and you run into a lot of roadblocks, and you run into a lot of haters, and you run into a lot of
Thanks.
all kinds of stuff that would easily like sidetrack you if you let it, and even sometimes it's sometimes you're the like you're getting in the way of yourself, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like even at my age and with all that I've already accomplished, I still feel like I have enough drive to push forward, like unstoppable. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna keep doing this till the day I die. You know what I mean? This is what I love, and so it is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Like had a quote about the music is life, and life is music, man. For me, it is. I could say that. I can't speak for anybody else, but for me, that is actually true. So, Unstoppable, the biopic.
All right. So now I'm gonna hit you. Yeah, now I'm gonna hit you with the last one.
All right.
Who would play you?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea, man. Jesus, I don't know. I don't think of myself in that celebrity space. I'll tell you what. You give me 5 choices, I'll tell you which is the best one.
Jeremy's usually good at this, man. What do you have in your database, Jeremy?
Let's see. Dang.
Piano on
Yeah,
there?
Every
you won't be insulted, right?
Nah, nah.
Let me see. Uh, nah, he ain't an actor, so I'm not gonna do that. Let's see.
Yeah, it's tough.
Actor.
Like, who? I don't know.
Russell.
Russell, who? Russell, who? Russell Crowe?
No.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either,
Oh,
man.
that's funny. Hold on. Somebody said Andy Garcia. Let's
Oh,
see.
Andy Garcia is too good looking to play me.
Andy Garcia. No, I can't think of nobody young and hot that would like really kill this unstoppable movie, but it's a good role though. I
Hey
can see it
man.
though. The
Nah, they
guitar, a
had
modern day guitar, Ash. Man, it'll definitely be a Oscar. I just can't think of who to give this prestigious honor to.
Right?
Dang.
Dang.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, these questions are awesome, man. I wish I had better answers, to be honest.
Normally I do have somebody, I ain't gonna lie, but yeah, I ain't got nobody right now. Dang. Andy Garcia. Nah, he too old, man.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
Uh,
he too old. Yeah, I don't know. I ain't got nobody. Dang, it's the first time. I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little stumped.
yeah, I
Give it
mean,
to
I've gotten all kinds of stuff, man, because it depends where because I'm Hispanic, right? Like in Miami, I'm Cuban, but out here, people think I'm either Armenian or Persian or Mexican,
facts.
Italian. If I go to New York, maybe I'm Puerto Rican, or in Orlando, I'm Puerto Rican, or whatever. You know, like it just depends. I can't think of any actor. I'm drawing a blank, man. Yeah.
Oh man, it's funny because I was avoiding this person, but somebody else suggested it, so I'm just gonna throw it back in there. But Jonah Hill,
Oh, Jonah.
yeah, but nah.
I will say this. He's too skinny right now, but uh,
Oh,
he's actually a pretty darn good actor, man.
hey
Uh,
man, he'll throw on weight for an Oscar, bro. That's not
yeah,
the issue. That's not the. Yeah,
yeah,
heck yeah, man.
yeah.
Nah,
I can see Jonah doing it because
yeah,
he he's pretty dope, man. Like you see him in the comedies and whatever and this and that, but if you watch him in like some of the dramatic stuff he's done, I was like, wow.
yeah.
And I see that a lot. A lot of the comedians can do drama, but not a lot of the actors can do comedy. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't go the other way that easy. But I
Yeah,
think,
man. Yeah.
yeah.
I did some drama, some dramatic stuff recently, so I feel you. That's all thing they kept telling me was on set. Like, no, you perfect for this, and then they killed me. But you really good at playing dead.
Yeah,
But,
you're perfect for dying in the first second. Yeah, man. I can see Jonah, man. If DJ Khaled starts making movies, maybe he could do
no.
it.
Nah, not a
Jeremy's
DJ Khaled.
no.
He'd be like, "No,
So once again, Ash, where can they find you if they want to hear music, see what's going on with you, see where you're gonna be gigging, see where they could catch a church service?
I spend I guess most of my energy as far as social media and stuff on Instagram. So I would say
Mhm.
Instagram is probably the spot. You can just go to Instagram forward slash what is it .com/Ash Jangda ASHJANGDA, and that works on all the socials and YouTube and my website ashjangda.com. Um, the website is more like for like painting the big picture, but for
Mm.
like what's going on week to week, if you want to come catch a show or that kind of thing, or just hear what it is I do, Instagram is probably going to be your best bet.
And with you, Jeremy, what you got coming up this week?
What I got coming up? I can do this. I can do this.
Tonight?
Doesn't matter. The only show that matters is Boston. I'm doing Nick's Comedy Stop the 24th and 25th in Boston. Buy a ticket to that show. Help me pay my rent. It's the only thing that matters right now. And then June 9th, I'll be back at the Comedy Store again doing some musical comedy stuff. So last time we sold it out. I'd like to tell that again. Would love to have you, Ash, if you're around. You know what I'm saying?
Man. June 9th?
Maybe we can collab June 9th. Yep.
Yeah, man.
At
Let
the
me know.
world famous Comedy Store. Yep.
Yeah, if you ever want to put like a band together or something for that, I got you.
Hey, man. Come through.
I'm serious. Yeah, I'll pull up.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
I love comedy, man. Maybe that should have been the secret good gift. You know,
getting talent. You know? Well, no, dude, man, it was definitely worth it, Ash. And like I said, I do have a couple other conversations for you that we're gonna put into play. But with all that being said, this has been another episode of Splendid Radio on Pharcyde TV. Peace.
Peace.